everyone, Cheek here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Hot Wheels crossover Bone Shaker. This guy is a big muscle car, I do believe, at least an old-timey looking muscle car. One of the earlier Hot Wheels. I don't know exactly when Bone Shaker was originally released, but oh man, this is a cool figure indeed.
Bone Shaker, shaker of bones. This is the second crossover with Hot Wheels. Bone Shaker on the box has an Autobot emblem. On his weapon, it has an Autobot emblem, which I think is supposed to be like a shifter or whatever, but it is pretty cool, I guess. But it is the only thing about this figure that has an Autobot emblem. No Decepticon emblem, although people have said that this guy really should be a Decepticon, just given his name and the car he turns into. That is something you can do with the weapon. Doesn't really have any actual storage, but that is something you can do with it. This is obviously modeled after the Bone Shaker Hot Wheels car. I mean, it is well done, very nicely done. I like the open top right here where you can actually see the seats and then the Hot Wheels steering wheel, which I think is really nice detail that they really didn't have to include, but then again maybe so, considering it's open top like this. And then underneath, there is no visible head or hand syndrome really. Well, I guess the hands are right there, but they're pretty well hidden. So this guy doesn't even have it to where you can even see the head at all in vehicle mode, like Twin Mills does. But I will say that I think he rolls even better than Twin Mill, and Twin Mill rolled quite well indeed. But this guy is just a cool hot rod. I mean, he doesn't have flames that shoot out, but he does have flames on his vehicle mode painted, so that is really cool. The skull looks really awesome, and then there's skeleton hands grasping the headlights, and I think that that's just so cool. A little bit of red paint for the shocks. I mean, this is just so well done. And of course, because it wouldn't be a Hot Wheels review if you didn't have at least another Hot Wheels car to go with. So let's go ahead and bring in Twin Mill and see how they look together. I'd say they're probably scaled pretty well together. Just Hot Wheels cars blown up in size. So it's one of those very rare cases where the Transformer is significantly bigger than what it turns into. If you're thinking of life-size cars, obviously they're significantly smaller. But if you're thinking about Hot Wheels cars, these guys are a bit large. The tires, they are pinned in, as you can clearly see. And this guy is pretty intuitive, I'd say in some ways. I think he's a little bit more complex than Twin Mill, but I will say he is more satisfying to transform, even though his feet aren't as visible or obvious. So, it is about that time! And here we have Bone Shaker in his robot mode, and he is so cool. If it wasn't for the skull and then also a little bit of the other detail like on his face, I'd probably say he looks almost adorable, as I tend to think that characters with big old visor eyes and face plates tend to look. But these, I like the exhaust pipe stylized on the side of his head, done in silver, and then the extra vented looking faceplate, that just looks so cool. And then of course, obviously, the front of the car becomes his chest, and that just exudes I don't want to say necessarily evil, but definitely cool guy, bad. Well, guy that probably kick tons of behind and not care what anyone else thinks or anything like that. But I think he, for the most part, is better proportioned than Twinmill. I think that, oh yeah, definitely got some really good head articulation there. But oh man, the detail, obviously, there isn't that much more visible in the robot mode. There's just orange for the crotch plate right there, which I think is done to look sort of like this right here, except there's, instead of 8, there's 6. But I think that's kind of what it's supposed to be reminiscent of. Some molded in detail on the torso, which looks pretty nice, and silver paint. There's a decent amount of detail in the robot mode. He doesn't feel as sleek, obviously, as Twinmill, but they're not going for sleekness with this guy. This, I guess, is supposed to be sort of like a club in robot mode, like bashing his enemies over the head with it, but I guess given his design, that wouldn't surprise me too much for his method of attack and all that. Although, part of me also looks like an energy collection device, almost like a magic wand, but not really, maybe to throw like lightning bolts or something at someone. I mean, bolts of energy of some kind, that's what it kind of feels like to me, because especially if he's going up against, assuming he's more of a Decepticon, which he very well could be. It doesn't explicitly state whether or not he's an Autobot or Decepticon. It just has an Autobot emblem on the packaging, and doesn't really say anything else. It doesn't say he's Decepticon, but based on the packaging, one would assume he's an Autobot. But one could say that the reason why there's an Autobot emblem right there is to say that that is how Autobots will meet their doom. At least that's one way you could look at it if you want to make him be a Decepticon, or at the very least, not an Autobot or a friend of the Autobots. They are about the same in height, but he is definitely the bigger, chunkier guy of the two, where he looks like sleek, fast, and there for speed with, I guess, flamethrowers. He looks like he's a bruiser brawler that, sure, if you can keep him at a distance, you'll probably be fine, but the problem is not letting him, but keeping him from getting up close and personal. Because when you do, you're probably not going to be able to get away unscathed, if not at all. But yeah, this guy's colors look really good. Part of me really wants to think of him as a Decepticon. Part of me wants to think of him as just one of the Autobots that you just don't want to mess around with, and that even the other Autobots probably really don't want to mess around with on a general basis just because of his attitude or something. And another thing that'd be really funny is if he looks like this and he's actually one of the kindest, sweetest Autobots you could ever meet, and then he could be the, I don't know, the biggest jerk Autobot that you could ever meet. But that's all up to interpretation, and I guess what you want to come up with, because, I mean, at least a lot of the other crossovers, there's like an in-universe thing. There might be a little bit for Hot Wheels with some of the games, but as far as I'm aware, for the most part, it's just like, yeah, they're just cars. Some representing real-world cars, and a lot of them just complete fantasy made-up ones just to look cool because that's what the artists wanted. So there's a lot of interpretation for what you want these guys to be in your collection. And I've been rambling on a bit. So let's get to articulation. Head is on a ball joint. You can look up really far, which is really nice. Head can do a full 360. Get a good amount wibbly wobbly. Arms can go out that far. Can go forward that far. They can't really do a full 360, but I mean, I guess they kind of can if you rotate this up. But it's a really awkward thing. But as far as articulation that you really need, it's not absolutely essential. Bicep rotation. Oh, come on. About 90-degree bend at the elbow. No wrist rotation, only bending, but that is for transformation. Waist rotation. Legs go forward that far, back that far, because he doesn't have that much of a backpack. He just has a little bit of a windscreen, but that's it. He does not have much kibble. Okay, moving on. Thigh rotation. Over 90-degree bend at the knee, but that is because of transformation. He can do the full splits, and he does have a very weird but he does have an ankle tiltage, and yes, the back of his feet are formed by the seats. And he does have kind of a chonky, stubby feet, but hey, he still looks really cool. But that's why I said stockier build that you just don't want to get up close and personal if he's in a fighting mood.
So that's about it for the Transformers Hot Wheels crossover Bone Shaker. This guy is so cool. Glad I got him. Much better than Twin Mill, although Twin Mill's really cool anyway. But if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. And until next time, have a good one, everyone.